Welcome back, and today we are playing out the whole squadron of FADFs on the USN United States, the American supercarrier. I figured that the culture shock would be a little bit lower if we actually go with something that has planes on the screen, because today's video has been sponsored by World of Warships. A game that I return to every so often because they just keep adding new stuff, whether it's cosmetics, new vehicles, of which there's over 500 right now, and sometimes there are new classes as well. If you haven't played in a while, you should know that they have added submarines a little while ago, and they do switch up the gameplay quite a drastic amount. Now of course these are not the only classes. You also have the carrier that you are seeing on the screen, the battleships that we will be playing out a little bit later. Then we have the cruisers that kind of get nuked by the battleships, and the destroyers that kind of get nuked by the cruiser, but the destroyers of course there to nuke the battleships. There's a little bit of a rock paper scissors going on, and if you noticed, yes, the carrier kind of falls outside of this. It's more of an overseeing thing, a bit of an RTS kind of game. And I used to play Command & Conquer all the time when I was younger, so I feel right at home. It did take me a little bit to pick up because the carrier gameplay is vastly different to all the other stuff. But with a little bit of practice and a lot of help, we managed to cook up a little bit of a game for you today. You can of course play this alone, but when you fly with a carrier, I recommend you to invite some friends, especially if you haven't flown a carrier at all, because they can help you out, and of course you can play with 1 or 2 other friends at the same time with a maximum of 3 people in the same division. If you are worrying that you can't play this because you don't have a computer, the game is also available on console. And if you are a new player that has never played this game before, you can sign up with the code IMPACTFORCE and get quite a few free goodies. You get 20 days of premium, you get a Japanese tier 3 cruiser, the Tenryū, get a port slot and a commander, as well as the US tier 7 cruiser, the Boise. Let's go with the Boise. As well as 7 supercontainers, 40 million credits, and a million of elite commander XP. And this will help you quite a decent amount to just get a bit of a leg up on the people that have been playing quite a while, because the game can be a little bit intimidating, and I try to help you out with that today. So if you are willing to sign up with the code IMPACTFORCE, if you haven't made an account yet, you will help the channel, you will help yourself with a great new game, and maybe we will see each other in battle in the future. The carriers aren't the simplest vehicle to pick up, and they do require quite a bit of game knowledge so you know where you are needed, because this thing is all about supporting your entire team, having a lot of map presence, and just spotting the enemy. Now it's also important to know what ships you should engage and shouldn't. Here we have a battleship that is relatively low health, and finishing it off means that our team doesn't have to waste an entire salvo to clean him up themselves. Getting ships out of the battle is very important, because even with 1 HP left, they can spot, and especially something like a battleship, they can do a lot of instantaneous damage. If he is unspotted, for example, someone comes around the corner and he has all his guns trimmed on you. You want to get those ships out of the match. It's of course important to focus these things, but you do want to be wary of what is next to them. If there's a cruiser next to them, especially something like an American cruiser, their AA can absolutely melt you, and there's really no real reason to get close to them if that is the case. You don't want to just sacrifice all your planes and ruin a strike. You want to just do chip damage throughout the entire match. Sometimes you'll get lucky, cause some floodings with your torpedoes, cause some fires with your bombs or rockets, and this way you do a lot of chip damage and you kind of just suppress the enemy team. A good carrier player will win you the game, in the same way that a bad one might lose you the game. There will always be another carrier in the enemy team, and if one carrier is better than the other, if their carrier suppresses your carrier, there's a very big likelihood that your team will lack a lot of awareness, a lot of spotting, and overall just a lot of constant barrages of damage that they have to be wary of. Be wary of enemy fighters as well. You don't want to fly a bomber formation in there. They will absolutely tear you apart. Now, we set that guy on fire. We're trying to make sure that he doesn't actually capture the point. He is kind of alone. It's a battleship. This one doesn't have the best of AA. So we know that we can kind of just bully this guy until he eventually sinks. And that's exactly what we are going to do. We take back off with the FNF with Tiny Tims. Don't ask me how that works. And we fly at a very rapid speed towards the middle of the map. You can tell that these jets here are insanely fast, and they cover a lot of ground very quickly. And this means that if someone gets a damage called off, which means that they are repairing their water damage, their fire damage, perhaps your friend saw that one of them just repaired one of his turrets or his rudder, and you know that he doesn't have his damage control module up for a while. If you set a fire on him, it's gonna do the maximum amount of damage, and these are the targets that you want to seek out. Of course, the fire damage will be easily repairable by a super heal. But you know, let's not go too in depth into it. At this point, the game is essentially won, and we're just kind of cleaning up everything. I just want to get the most amount of damage out of it. We strafe the DD, get a little bit of a rocket strike, and then Chatmerl Hipster nails him across the map in the main. He gets kind of sent to the Shadow Realm, and we go into the next match. And this time we're playing out with Turbonut. Now some of you might know this guy from the channel, and he's gonna spot for us. It's gonna be super helpful. And we felt a little bit ballsy today, and we're just gonna park it in the middle of the map. Getting good footage, you know, you have to be a little bit ballsy. And if you want to make it interesting, sometimes you just have to take a little bit of unnecessary risk. Now this guy is somewhat bow in and he is somewhat angled, but it's a cruiser, so we should be able to do quite a chunk of damage. Unfortunately, most of our shells miss, and the other ones just give us a hell of a lot of overpans. He is within secondary range though, and if you are familiar with secondary guns on German battleships, you should know that these pack quite a punch. Now he is hiding behind the mountain. Yeah, that's a mountain. I don't want to hear it. He's hiding behind the island there, and I can't really touch him anymore. But, you know, we're feeling a bit ballsy. We are in a German battleship, so we are not really shy of just pushing straight in. Torpedo salvo coming in, but you know, looking at the trajectory, the range that we have, we should be able to steer around the most outside one relatively easily. It's just gonna skim past us. We're gonna call this massive Eurobeat action. In reality, we don't even have to touch our controls. Absolutely incredible. The Brincy here is still behind the mountain. I'm not gonna have a shot on him anytime soon, so I'm just gonna trim my guns to the other side and let the Turbonut in the gearing take care of the cruiser for us. Now, he's of course going to be at a disadvantage, but the gearing is absolutely pogging, and he shouldn't have too much issue considering the quality of a player that he is. Now we are about to come around the corner here. We are not unspotted. Basically, there you go, detected on the screen, and we take our first shot on the destroyer. And you might find that a little bit weird, but it makes sense, trust me. A destroyer is a bit of the backbone of your team. It provides spotting, it can sneak up on your battleships, and it can sneak around. So when you catch one off guard like this, I will absolutely nail it. These battleships will be stuck here for a while. They are broadside, they are parked. They're gonna take forever to reposition. So I can reload and then still dish out the damage. That destroyer would have fled, and these battleships, while yes, I might have gotten more damage out of it in like the raw damage stat, I think that for the value of the game, taking down that destroyer has a lot more worth. And just after that, we still get to shoot the battleship right after. He gets absolutely turned inside out, and then we park ourselves on this little bit of a mountain here. Our guns are still trimmed, we're still reloading. I'm trying to angle somewhat, because the Friedrich der Große is also a German battleship and has a load of secondaries that I don't really want to mess with. But we're feeling pretty confident here. We get a nice little broadside, and boom, that's another 19k damage. He's not feeling too good. Absolute wave of torps coming in. And there he goes. He is back at the bottom of the sea. Now the Arkland here is in the smoke, but he's still spotted. So I'm just going to be able to kind of back up here. And I would have damage conned it because I have 3 fires on my vehicle here. Not really a big fan of that. But we'll just have to be patient until they go out. Now this guy here, I mean, stands absolutely no chance. We get a nice little black ribbon and send him as well to the Shadow Realm. It's very important that you are aware of your cover, your islands, and just the line of sight of your enemies. Otherwise you're going to end up right like that Verdi over there. And that's what you don't want to happen. Now we get a lot of our HP back because a lot of our damage was from fire. And that is very much repairable. We get around the corner here. We do get spotted, but it's a cruiser. And unfortunately for him, it's a Dutch one at that. Now the Gouden Leeuw here, or as my friends call it, the Golden Glue, is really not much of a match here, but we are about to get absolutely reeled across the map by the Vermont. Bam! And there goes about 20k of our health, which is basically a quarter. Now we are gonna turn out a little bit, and this might seem counterintuitive, but I want to angle against the Vermont, and I don't want to actually go right here and either get stuck on the island or go bow in with the entire enemy team. Because once you are bow in with a group of people, you're stuck there, you can't really turn out because you die, and if you decide to just kind of stick with it, well, you also die. The Gouden Leeuw here drops his gimmicky planes on us, and they do a lot of fire damage if they do manage to hit. Luckily for us, We kinda go right through it. Now he does hit us with a few bombs and it sets us on fire, which is a little bit unfortunate. We have damage gone up in about 8 seconds here. And we have 2 fires. We're being chased for very low health. We need to use it here. They are both cruisers. They can't really kill us too quickly because they have to do fire damage. And we are completely saturated. We get a nice little citadel. We get our heals up. We're going to get quite a bit of HP back. And we're just trying to delay here and do as much damage as possible. Neither of these ships will kill us quickly. If I reload, I will do another massive chunk of their health. We go back to the Brinzy here. Take a massive pot shot. Bam, that's another 6k. Unfortunately, it's an overpan. And a lot of misses. Dodge the planes again, hopefully. And we're gonna try to just tug it out. There's really no other way to say this. In the meantime, these secondaries have been absolutely hammering that Gouden Leeuw. Now he goes down. We trim our guns back over to the Brinzy. And I mean, it's not gonna do the most amount of damage. But damn, is it just enough? We survived with a whopping 1500 horsepower, and with the heal we can get it back up to 16,000, which kind of gives us the ability to take a little bit of a beating. Now we are still pretty low health, and a good volley will absolutely send us to the moon. But luckily we won't get sent to the moon by a simple volley of something like a Kagero, which we are looking for right now. He is behind us, he's gonna be a bit of a nuisance, so we try to get the guns on him. He only has 3000 hit points left, so we're gonna try and see if we can just send him to the moon as well. Our shells missed. This gun isn't too accurate. Hit him for 2500. One more shell and he is absolutely done. It's just a secondary hit, unfortunately. But we have plenty of secondaries. And there is the Kraken in the Schlieffen. We kind of get beached on the mountain here, so we back it back up. And we just start spamming some torps, because I know there's a guy that's about to come around the corner there. So we just want to kind of stagger those. We back up a little bit more, we keep ourselves somewhat angled, and we're just gonna wait for someone to float into our guns. Now the Vermont there is the one that kind of destroyed us earlier in the game. We do get some secondary fires here, which is always good to see. And he's gonna push out. He has much more health than us. He can do so. I'm not really feeling it, but I can't really get out of it anymore. So I'm just gonna try angle, try to get lucky. He's probably just going to delete us, but you know, you can't knock it until you try it. Now this guy is about to come around the corner. If all of this looks interesting to you, if you haven't made an account yet, you can sign up with the code IMPACTFORCE. And it would help me out a tremendous amount. And maybe you can help yourself to a pretty fun game. And that's really all I have for you today. This guy is gonna come around the corner. We are about to absolutely slam him. Because of course, we have never died in the entirety of playing any game whatsoever.